How to boost your emotional intelligence. Welcome to the Fresh Thinking School of Psychology. We only curate and collect the best content ever to inspire and empower you to be whatever is best in your personal and professional life. What is emotional intelligence? Why is emotional intelligence one of the best concepts any leader anywhere must understand if they are to lead effectively? You will learn from the following master the following: the definition of emotional intelligence, the four core competencies of emotional intelligence, how to improve your emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, as well as recognize and influence the emotions of those around you. Emotional intelligence is often defined as perceiving, understanding, managing, and handling emotions. The term emotional intelligence was first coined in 1990 by researchers John Mayer and Peter Salovey, but was later popularized by psychologist Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence helps you build stronger relationships, succeed at school and work, and achieve your career and personal goals. It can also help you to connect with your feelings, turn intention into action, and make informed decisions about what matters most to you. Competencies of the emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is typically broken down into four core competencies. The first one is self-awareness. The second one is self-management. The third one is social awareness. And the fourth one is relationship management. Let us now go into detail on the competencies of emotional intelligence, starting with the first one. The first pillar of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to understand your emotions and their effects on your performance. You know what you are feeling and why, and how it helps or hurts what you are trying to do. You sense how others see you and align your self image with a larger reality. You have a real sense of your strengths and limitations, which gives you realistic self confidence. It also clarifies your values and a sense of purpose, so you can be more decisive when you set a course of action. As a leader, you can be candid and authentic, speaking with conviction about your vision. Self awareness is at the core of everything. It describes your ability to understand your strengths and weaknesses and to recognize your emotions and their effect on you and your team's performance. The second pillar of emotional intelligence is self management. Self management refers to managing your emotions, particularly in stressful situations, and maintaining a positive outlook despite setbacks. Leaders who lack self management tend to react and have a more challenging time keeping their impulses in check. The third pillar of emotional intelligence is social awareness. While it is essential to understand and manage your emotions, you must also know how to read a room, Social awareness describes your ability to recognize others' emotions and the dynamics in your organization. Leaders who excel in social awareness practice empathy. They strive to understand their colleagues' feelings and perspectives, which enables them to communicate and collaborate more effectively with their peers. Emotional intelligence is essential in leadership because it improves self awareness, increases accountability, fosters communication, and builds trusting relationships by helping leaders process their emotions more positively, allowing them to address challenges effectively. The fourth pillar of emotional intelligence is relational management. Why is relational management critical in emotional intelligence? Well, relational management for emotional intelligence will improve your ability to communicate in an assertive, respectful, and non defensive manner, mainly when providing feedback or managing interpersonal conflict. Why does this matter? Well, the skills in this area are designed to help you strengthen the following abilities. It is communicating assertively, engage in assertive, non defensive communication that avoids aggressive, passive, or passive aggressive behaviors. You are giving and receiving negative feedback. Share negative feedback constructively and respectfully to help minimize your and others' adverse emotional reactions and responses. Managing conflict. Effectively approach and resolve emotionally charged conflicts and disagreements, influencing others positively. Understand how to manage a team or group's emotional dynamics effectively. Relational management is your ability to influence, coach, and mentor others and resolve conflict effectively. Some prefer to avoid conflict, but it is essential to address issues as they arise correctly. Improve your ability to communicate in an assertive, respectful, and non defensive manner, mainly when providing feedback or managing interpersonal conflict. How to improve your emotional intelligence. Professionals sometimes flounder or stable as they try to improve their emotional intelligence because they either don't know where to focus their efforts or haven't understood how to improve these skills practically. Suppose you are looking to develop particular emotional intelligence strengths. In that case, it helps to consider areas for improvement others have identified along with the goals you want to achieve, and then to actively build habits in those areas rather than simply relying on understanding them conceptually. Three questions can help you on your way. The first question is, what are the differences between how you see yourself and others? The next question is, what matters to you? The third question is, what changes will you make to achieve your goals? As emotional intelligence has gone global, we have watched professionals struggle as they try to improve their emotional intelligence because they either don't know where to focus their efforts or haven't understood how to improve these skills practically. Suppose you are looking to develop particular emotional intelligence strengths. In that case, it helps to consider areas for improvement others have identified along with the goals you want to achieve, and then to actively build habits in those areas rather than simply relying on understanding them conceptually. To that end, start by asking yourself 3 questions. The first question is, what are the differences between how you see yourself and others? The second question is, what matters to you? The third question is, what are the differences between how you see yourself and others? As with all learning, the first step is understanding how your self-perception or how you see yourself differs from your reputation, how others see you. This is especially true for the development of emotional intelligence because we can be blind to, not to mention bias about how we express and read the emotional components of our interaction. For example, most of us think we are good listeners, but very often that is not. Without this external reality check, it will be difficult for you to identify how your actions affect your performance. However, getting feedback from others can also provide proof of the necessity of shifting your behaviors and an impetus to do so. Furthermore, emotional intelligence can't be boiled down to a single score, as is done with IQ. You can't just say that you are good or bad at emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence has 4 aspects, and we are all the better at some than others. As we said earlier, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. To give you the best sense of where the differences lie between your self-perception and reputation, you should use a 360-degree feedback assessment that considers the multiple facets of emotional intelligence. For example, we use the Emotional and Social Competency Index of 360-degree feedback, but many organizations have assessments which are similar to that. The key is to find one that guarantees confidentiality to those giving you feedback, focused on the development and not on performance assessment, which skews the feedback. And that can give you a clear sense of where others gauge you differently than you gauge yourself. Another way to get an outside perspective on how your actions impact your relationships and work is to work with a coach. For example, a coach can help you delve under the surface and examine how your assumptions and personal narratives may work against you. To find a well-trained coach, do your due diligence. Coaching is not a licensed profession, but it's a very important profession. So it is up to you to get references and find out if a prospective coach has undergone a rigorous training program. If working with a coach is not feasible, find a learning partner, ideally a colleague whose opinions you trust and who will be willing to talk about how you are regularly doing. What matters to you? When you get feedback from an assessment or your coach, let that inform what you want to improve, but also consider your goals, how you want to get better at what you do now, or where you want to go in the future. For example, when it comes to cultivating strengths in emotional intelligence, you are at a massive disadvantage if you are only interested because a colleague, your boss, or someone in human resources said you should be. Your emotional intelligence is so tied up in your sense of self that being intrinsically motivated to try matters more when changing long-standing habits than simply learning a skill like budgeting. That means the areas you choose to work on actively should lie at the intersection of the feedback you have gotten and the most critical areas of your aspirations. Ask yourself, do you want to grow your capacity to take on a leadership position? Be a better team member? Exert more significant positive influence? Get better at managing yourself or keeping the goals that matter in focus? Or your goals need not be only professional. Do you want a better connection to your spouse or teenager? Understanding the impacts of your current emotional intelligence habits relative to your goals will keep you going over the long haul as you do the work of strengthening your emotional intelligence. For example, let's say you get feedback that you're not a great listener, but think you are. So instead of taking this assessment as an attack or simply dismissing it, step back and consider your goals. Perhaps you have said that you want to connect better, understand, and communicate with impact. So, how could listening help you do those things? Seeing the feedback in this light can help you position it as an opportunity for developing toward your goals rather than a threat. What changes will you make to achieve these goals? Well, get your goal out of your imagination and onto a piece of paper. This then becomes a statement of intent. The process of writing down your goal or target forces the subconscious to accept the commitment you have made to work towards your target or goal. Once you have determined which emotional intelligence skills you want to focus on, identify specific actions that you will take. Suppose you're working on becoming a better listener. For example, in that case, you might decide that when you are conversing with someone, you will take the time to pause, listen to what they have to say, and check that you understand before you reply. Keep it specific. That helps you change the target habit. It will help if you also took every natural occurring opportunity to practice the skill you are developing, no matter how small. For example, you are trying to train your brain to react differently in everyday situations. The principle of neuroplasticity tells us that as a given brain circuit gets used more often, its connections become more muscular. And the brain does not distinguish between home and work when it comes to changing your habits. Practice at home and work with your partner or teenager as you would with your boss or direct reports. Spotting these opportunities to trot out your new habit requires a bit of extra awareness. At first, this will take effort, and doing it might feel strange. But each time you do it, these new pathways in your brain strengthen your connection, making your new approach more accessible and habitual. Soon, you will find it more natural to pause and listen for a reply, for example, than to cut off the person you are talking with in your excitement to respond. Then one day you will reach a neural landmark. The new habit will kick in automatically without you having to make any effort. That means your new habit has replaced the old habit as your brain's default circuit. Here too, a coach can be helpful to you along the way, especially if they are explicitly trained in helping leaders and executives develop their emotional intelligence strengths. From assessing the right kind of evaluation to observing you in action, a well-trained coach can work with you to identify personal narratives or habitual patterns of the mind that undermine your ability to get out of your way and instead talk you through those days when life's pressures force you back into your old, not so good habits. By answering these questions and starting to change your normal reactions, you will be well on your way to figuring out the old habits that aren't serving you well and transforming them into new, improved ones that do. Leaders set the tone of their organizations. It could have more far-reaching consequences if they lack emotional intelligence, resulting in lower employee engagement and a higher turnover rate. How do you improve emotional intelligence? Well, emotional intelligence, there's excellent news here. The way we respond to ourselves and others can be improved. All of us can work toward being more confident, positive, and kind. Here are four few ways we want to share. The first way to improve emotional intelligence is to pay attention to yourself. Notice how people respond when you speak. Notice how you react when others speak. Do you rush to judgment? Does your facial expression or body language say one thing while your words or lack of words express something different? Easy improvements can be made simply by noticing our go-to negative words, expressions, and feelings and adjusting. The second way to improve emotional intelligence is to use positive language. What we say impacts our thoughts, actions, and other people's feelings. Take charge of your environment by focusing on the positive and using words that move yourself and others forward. The third way to improve emotional intelligence is to keep going. Recognize that everyone has temporary setbacks and struggles. Look for a change in direction to keep going or find energy in a new path. The fourth way to improve emotional intelligence is to watch your stress level. When things are a bit crazy, negative emotions can surface much faster and harder to control. Make sure to find time to relax, take a break, do an activity you enjoy, or spend 10 minutes taking deep, refreshing breaths. The fifth way to improve emotional intelligence is to show compassion. We have said it before and will repeat it. Kindness takes practice. Look for ways to show compassion and empathy to others, even when you feel they don't deserve it. And if you need to ask for forgiveness, do it. Being emotionally intelligent will make a positive difference in your relationships with friends, co-workers, and personal life. Get your goal out of your imagination onto a piece of paper. This then becomes a statement of intent. The process of writing down your goal or target forces the subconscious to accept the commitment you have made to work towards your target. Set a target day by which you will complete your goal. You can work on your mindset long before you tackle your first goal. Develop a positive, glass half full approach to every aspect of your life, including your thoughts about how you will achieve your goals. It is possible that a new goal will necessitate learning a new skill or will require some form of personal growth. Figure out what new knowledge you will need or what new skills you will have to develop. Find the best source for gaining this knowledge and invest wisely to develop the necessary assets on your path to success. It is important not to procrastinate. The moment when real action is required, often when many goals fall by the wayside. You don't need to wait until everything is just right. Get started now and adjust as you go along. Take that first step. Continue to completion. The path to ultimate achievement of your goals is unlikely to be straight and simple. Do not give up when you encounter the first or any subsequent obstacles. Keep the end refocused. Maintain your excitement and enthusiasm and keep moving forward. See each difficulty you meet as an opportunity for learning and growth. Commit to doing at least one thing every day to move you closer to your goal. Do not halt this forward progress on your path to success until your results has been achieved. As we come to the end of our journey together, I have 2 questions for you. What are the 3 lessons you have learned from this masterclass? How do you plan to implement what you learned in your professional life from this masterclass? Yours, Dr. Mishak Masasekane Kosa, the goal achiever, the thinking futurist, and director of Fresh Thinking School of Psychology. Thank you.